Chronic stress is one of the biggest killers of testosterone. And in this video, I'm going to explain what chronic stress is, how to minimize chronic stress, and how to stop it from destroying your testosterone without becoming a slave to its optimization. So that being said, what is stress? Stress, I would define, is a physical or emotional response to a situation that is difficult or puts pressure on you. So why exactly is it that when you're stressed, cortisol goes up, your testosterone goes down when you're chronically stressed? And to explain this, we must go back into evolutionary biology and properly look at why the body prioritizes cortisol production over testosterone production. So to explain this fully, we must first look at cholesterol. So it all starts with cholesterol, the foundational molecule for the hormones in our body, the steroid hormones. Without cholesterol, your body will not be able to produce steroid hormones. And this is why a diet low in cholesterol, a vegan diet, will cause low testosterone. Because when you're not eating enough cholesterol, your body won't be able to make enough testosterone to actually function. And that's why you'll have low testosterone if you're doing a vegan or vegetarian diet, because that diet is guaranteed to give you low cholesterol. And stop falling for the scam that cholesterol is bad and it causes arteries to clog. It's all BS. If you're exercising and if you're eating a healthy diet and you're exercising, you don't really need to worry about that, especially if you're young. So that being said, it's important that you get enough cholesterol intake. Now, why am I talking about cholesterol? Because cholesterol forms into testosterone or cortisol. It's one or the other. So we have a limited amount of cholesterol in our body, and this cholesterol can either go to cortisol production or testosterone production, one or the other, and these two compete for each other. But when your cortisol goes high, when your cortisol goes up, testosterone goes down. Why? This is because we must look at the evolutionary biology and the main roles of these two hormones. So cortisol's main role is to survive, and testosterone's main role is to reproduce. And when I tell people this, they actually get surprised, because we all think that testosterone's main role is to build muscle and get more stronger and be more masculine, but that is actually not the case. Testosterone's primary role, its primary purpose, is to reproduce, and building muscle, becoming stronger, becoming more masculine increases the likelihood that you'll be able to reproduce. So that being said, testosterone's main role is to reproduce, and the body prioritizes survival over reproduction. And this is why when cortisol goes up, the body stops producing testosterone and instead prioritizes cortisol, because survival takes precedence over reproduction. And this is very, very important in understanding why testosterone goes down when cortisol goes up. This is also why cortisol or chronic stress is the biggest killer of testosterone, because the body prioritizes cortisol production over testosterone production. So there are two main types of stress, and the first one is eustress and the second one is distress. Eustress I would describe as good stress, and distress I would describe as bad stress. Why? Well, eustress lasts a short time. This is very important, because when the stress that you have lasts a short time, it doesn't do the negative effects of cortisol, which are in the long term. Because when cortisol rises up, then goes down, it doesn't have a very bad effect compared to distress, where it causes cortisol to go up, but it doesn't go down afterwards. It stays up. And when it stays up, that's when all the damage is done. That's when your muscle breakdown starts to happen, and that's when you get low testosterone. That's when cortisol kills your testosterone. So that being said, distress lasts a long time, it's chronic, and your body stays in fight or flight mode for a long period of time. And this is actually not good, because if it's staying in fight or flight mode for a long time, there's no, window for recovery. And when there's no window for recovery, muscle breakdown starts to happen. The body starts, damaging itself. Cortisol starts damaging the cells, and it leads to a host of health issues like diabetes, inflammation, and low testosterone. When your body stays in fight or flight mode, it disrupts your sleep, which lowers testosterone. It disrupts your focus and it messes up your mental health. Eustress is challenging but exciting. Example of this would be, a competition, playing against someone. It's stressful, going playing a sport against another team, but then at the same time it's exciting because there's a chance to win, and it's time limited, because that after a certain amount of time the stress will go away and you'll be fine. But this stress is not time limited. It goes on for God knows how long. There's no end to it, and that's why it causes your cortisol to stay up. But when you're in eustress, your cortisol goes up, then after the stress is over it goes back down, which allows for recovery. And your testosterone, when you're under eustress, your testosterone goes up, but when you're under distress, testosterone goes down. And this is because long-term stress, cortisol, outcompetes testosterone. And another thing I have to mention is that when you're under eustress, after it's over, you can recover fully. For example, if you're going to go to the gym and do a workout, you're going to be stressed when you're lifting the weights. But then afterwards, when the session's over, about an hour, you can rest for a bit, take a rest day, and you can rest fully. And that's why your cortisol goes down. But when it's distress, when there's no way to recover from it, and the issue just prolongs and prolongs, that's when the health risks come to light. That's when the damage gets done to your testosterone. And that's why it lowers your testosterone, because there's poor and no recovery, and it's very draining. So that being said, we want to minimize this stress, and you want to optimize instead, have more eustress in our life, because in life, whether you like it or not, you will always be stressed, either from distress or eustress. You have to accept the fact that there will always be stressed. There's no way around it. There's no way to run away from it, because if you try to run away from any of these stresses, you'll be stressed just by trying to avoid the stress, which does the same thing as if you were to not do anything. So that being said, we need to accept the fact that we will be stressed, and instead of running away from it, just optimize the good stress and minimize the bad stress. This is easier said than done, and that's why I'm going to explain with action steps, concrete action steps, how to minimize distress and optimize eustress. So now that you know what cortisol's effect is on the body and why it causes low testosterone, we now need to know how to minimize chronic stress. And when you look online and research the topic and try to understand how to actually lower cortisol, they'll tell you to meditate, take a deep breath. And this advice, I listened to it, but it didn't actually work for me. And so I came up with my own tactics. I had to come up with my own tactics in order to reduce cortisol and chronic stress, in order to reduce my long-term stress, because I struggle with this a lot. And these are the things that really worked for me. So the first thing that worked for me is perception. And this is a very important point here that you must listen to, because it requires a very open mindset and a lot of focus to understand. So, as I said before, in life, you will always be stressed. If you want to live a good life, a life worth living, you'll be stressed and you have to tolerate it, especially as a man. And so instead of seeing stress as a problem, which a lot of people see it as, instead of seeing your stress as a problem, see it as a blessing, an opportunity to become better. When you shift your mindset from seeing it as a problem to seeing it as a blessing, that's when, there's like so much of this weight comes off your shoulders, and you see stress as a good thing, as an opportunity. And this actually lowers your stress. When I saw stress as a problem, and when I tried to reduce it, And when I got irritated when I was stressed, it ironically made me more stressed. It started this vicious cycle of me being stressed, then trying not to be stressed, which caused me to be more stressed. And then I realized I was getting more stressed because I was trying not to stress, and that stressed me out more. So it started this negative cycle of stress. And this single mindset change massively reduced my stress, because I instantly saw all the problems and the chaos in my life as a opportunity to become better, to become stronger. And when you do this, when you actually when you actually take this into account and properly shift your mindset from seeing stress as a problem to a blessing, that's when you will start becoming better as a man. You make a lot more progress in life. You'll stop complaining. Your stress will go down and your testosterone will go up. So that's very important here. Change your perception of stress. Stop seeing it as a problem. See it as a blessing, as an opportunity to become better. So the next thing you want to do to reduce your chronic stress is nature. And this is actually a very powerful practice you can do in order to reduce your stress. The next time you become really stressed at a situation, I want you to go outside and walk to a place where there's a lot of trees and a lot of grass and a field, a place where there's nature. And then I want you to observe how quickly, how instantly your stress goes down and you become more relaxed. Because when I first discovered this tactic, that being around nature lowered my stress, it worked like instantly. It reduced my chronic stress. So that being said, whenever you're stressed, go outside in nature. Go outside in nature, appreciate the beauty of the plants, the trees, the wind, the smell of the air, the fresh air. Appreciate it. And be grateful for the fact that you have, such nice scenery around you, and just enjoy the weather, enjoy the wind, enjoy all of it. So take a walk outside in nature, appreciate the beauty and depth of God's creation, and that will massively reduce your stress. Just relax in the sunlight and just walk around the trees, being grateful. Just it's honestly so weird that I have to explain this in a way for you guys to understand. One of the main reasons why we are always stressed is because we're in our homes, under roofs, behind screens all the time. And when we go outside and actually be around nature and appreciate the depth of the beauty, appreciate the depth of it and the beauty of nature, that's when the stress goes down, and it works so quickly. So I would strongly recommend the next time you're stressed to go outside, go for a walk, go by a lakeside, listen to the birds chirping, and actually enjoy the weather and the sunlight, because that will massively reduce your stress. So the next thing you want to do is to laugh more and be more social. And this is well documented. Laughter and socializing have a massive effect in reducing chronic stress and making you more relaxed. So that being said, instead of watching rage bait BBC News, start watching some, positive things. Start watching comedy, watch more comedy, watch funny things, be more social, be around your friends, make jokes, laugh at each other, and instead of constantly being behind your screen watching rage bait content. This is a very important point here. Stop watching the news and start, watching more comedy, because it will massively reduce your stress, and it's proven scientifically in so many studies. So watch more comedy, and just make more jokes yourself. Be more of a funny person. Make other people laugh, and that will actually make you less stressed. Make other people laugh as well. There's nothing wrong with that. Be yourself. So that being said, be more social and laugh more. Stop being so fucking nonchalant. Stop suppressing your inner self. Start being yourself more. Be more authentic. Crack your jokes. Laugh more, and your stress will go down, and you'll live a better life. You'll have better relationships. So this is very important advice here. Stop being so nonchalant. And the final thing you want to do is to sleep more. And it's so important, but then at the same time it's so overlooked. Sleep is one of the most important pillars of health, and when you neglect your sleep, when you stop caring about your sleep, that's when your health, your testosterone take a nosedive, and your life quality takes a nosedive as well. So this is very important that you get at least 7 to 9 hours of deep uninterrupted sleep per day. And obviously there will be times where you can't, sleep as much as you need to because of work, because of socializing and stuff like that. That's okay. But it's important that you don't neglect your sleep consistently and that you actually stick to the schedule. And you don't want to be a perfectionist around this. You don't want to be a perfectionist in your sleep. So let me just write this down. Don't be a nerd and try to overcomplicate this and be a perfectionist about your sleep. Because at the end of the day, sleep is just a way to recover, and you don't need to optimize. You don't need to be so autistically optimizing your sleep. Just sleep at the same time every day for the same amount of hours and you'll be fine. Because I wish I told my younger self this, where I went into this, rabbit hole of trying to optimize my sleep and then getting stressed at the fact that my sleep wasn't perfect, which actually made my sleep worse. Because when you're stressed about your sleep, your cortisol goes up, which makes it harder for you to fall asleep. So stop over optimizing your sleep, stop being a perfectionist, and just sleep with the intention to recover and rest. That's very important here, and it will save you a lot of stress. And another thing I need to address is that consistency is more important than quantity when it comes to sleep. It's better that you sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time every day, but it's 6 or 7 hours, than to sleep 10 to 12 hours but random times in a day. So for example, you sleep 10 to 12 hours, but sometimes you sleep at 8 o'clock, wake up at 12, and then sometimes you sleep at 9 a.m. in the morning and then wake up at 4 a.m. It's way better that you just sleep at the same time every day and wake up at the same time every day than sleeping for so many hours on end and then staying up for so many hours on end, because that will mess up your circadian rhythm. And I've discussed this in previous videos, how important the circadian rhythm is for testosterone. So that being said, consistency more important than quantity. Be more consistent with your schedule, stick to it, and obviously there will be times when you can't. That's okay, just stick to it again. I hope this was helpful in lowering your chronic stress. And if you want more testosterone boosting ideas and you want to optimize your testosterone, you should check out my school community, which gives you the full blueprint of how I went from 350 nanograms of testosterone to 750 nanograms of testosterone in a space of a year, completely naturally as a teenager. So make sure you check that out. And that's it for today, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.